Okay, good evening everyone, or good morning, depending on which part of the world you are from. My name is David and I will be your host for today. Okay, since we started later today, so we will end later as well. Okay, so before we start, as usual, I will first create a tweet. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so since the last live stream session, okay, I have created the first draft version of the first tile set. Okay, so you can take a look at it here under sprites. Okay, so as you can see, these are the various sprites, various tiles that you will see in the game. Okay, so how does the game look like now with the new tile set? So let's take a look at how the game looks like now. Okay, okay, so as you can see with the new tile set, okay, so this will be one of the stages that you can play on. Okay, so now it looks better than before with the placeholder images. Okay, with the new tile set, your health and your experience bar also looks more prominent. Okay, so now that we have the first tile set, let's go on to making some enemies. Okay, so let's move on to Photoshop. Okay, so as you can see, I have already created some frames for the first enemy. Okay, what you see here is the frame by frame animation of it moving towards its right. Okay, so let's carry on with that. left eye down by 1. Okay. And in case if you notice why I have two windows of the same file open, that's because it's easier to have a zoom in and zoom out version of the same file. Okay, so especially so for doing pixel art. Okay, so any changes you make here can be immediately seen when the sprite is zoomed out. Okay. Okay, so let's now create the image files. Okay, we do not need to show the palette nor the border. Okay, so this is the first frame. Okay, so let's make sure we have it centered in the image file. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so let's move it down 1. Okay, this is 48 by 48 minus okay, or maybe we can use 32 by 32. Okay, so this is table 32 by 32. Okay, we will want to use the smallest dimension possible so as to make it easier to scale the pixel art up towards higher resolution. Okay, so let's save this. Wait, make it transparent background and save this. Enemies. Let's call it virus. Okay, and as usual, we create the 4 folders for the different resolutions. Okay, so this is frame 1, and we also call it frame 3. Okay, and now let's move frame 2. Over here. Okay, let's hide the palette, the border, and let's move the body over here. Okay, and we hide the previous frame and we save it as the second frame. Okay, so let me just drag and drop the image files to the game projects directory real quick. But before that, let me just export the frames that we just created. Okay, so now let's go back to Unity. Okay, now we have imported the frames. Okay, just give me a second. Remember that I still need to create a frame for 0. Okay, so let's do that. Recent. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so now I have the first frame as well. Okay, change this to 0.4096. Okay, and we have our first enemy. Okay, so let's create our first enemy. Okay, to do that, let's go back to our character, drag and drop our first enemy, and scale it down to 0.6, which is what we are using for our enemy as well. Oh, we're using 0.5. Okay, so let's use 0.5 instead. So this is our first enemy. Okay, let's add a new tag and call it enemy. Okay. And for our enemy, we will need a script as well. So let's create a new C# script and call it enemy. Okay, now that we have our script, let's drag and drop the script to the enemy. Okay, and our enemy will need a rigid body 2D for the physics. Okay, we will set fixed angle and interpolate. Okay, our enemy will also need a way to detect whether it is on the floor or not. So we need a box collider. Okay, and let's create a physics material for our enemy. Let's call it enemy 1. so that we can have different types of physics for different types of enemies. Okay. Okay. So now let's zoom in and adjust the edges of the physics box. Okay, so we have a physics box now. Okay, now let's create a prefab so that we can create new enemies of this type. Many new enemies of this type. Okay, let's call it prefab. Let's call it enemy type. Set one. Okay, let's call it set one underscore enemy underscore one. Okay, set one underscore enemy underscore one. Okay, and we will need a animator as well, so that we can create the frame by frame animations for this enemy. Okay, but before that, let's create a animator for that. Animator controller. Okay, set one enemy one animator. Okay, now let's create an animation for our enemy. Okay, so we'll call it set one enemy one underscore move right. Okay, and to create the animation, we will drag and drop the frames. Okay, 150. So let's set the frame rate as 150 and okay, I'm just adjusting the cameras a little. Okay, okay, and now let's drag and drop the frames. Right, 2, 3, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay. One, two, three, two, one. Okay, so let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so now let's take a look at the how the animation looks like. Okay. Okay, now that we have the frame by frame animation for moving right, let's do the same for moving left. Okay, this is 0. Okay, let me just create the frames for moving left quickly.